We now go live to Ohio, where we're joined by Capri Cafaro, who's a political commentator and a former Senate member of the Democratic Party in that state. No guesses there, Capri, as to who your money was on tonight. But I wonder, though, talking about the issues that the candidates spoke about, I'll start with the issue of trade, particularly the trade with China, because I know that in part of in your previous role, you spent some time in terms of economic development on issues of agriculture. And we heard Kamala Harris here mentions the jobs that have been lost and also referencing farmers that lost revenue. How much did this trade war cost the United States? And also, what are your impressions of the candidates on those issues, particularly of trade?
Sure. Thank you very much for that question, and thank you for having me. The issue of trade is one that has been significantly important in the political dialogue in Ohio and the industrial Midwest for a number of election cycles, not just at the presidential level, but certainly at other federal levels as well, congressional Senate races. And so there's no question that people in Ohio definitely blame NAFTA, as well as things like steel dumping and currency manipulation with China as a reason for economic decline, job loss, and jobs, quote unquote, moving overseas, moving factories and the like. And so this is an issue. The issue of trade resonates with individuals in the industrial Midwest. And I would venture to say one of the reasons why so many traditional Democrats who had voted for Bill Clinton, Al Gore, even John Kerry and Barack Obama crossed over for Donald Trump in 2016 because they wanted someone to step up and really address trade. So actually, I thought that this was one of the most effective moments of the night for Mike Pence and one of the lower moments for Kamala Harris. And I actually was yelling this at the television at the time because, he did mention the fact that Kamala Harris was one of the only 10 members of the United States Senate that voted against the USMCA, which is the Canadian, Mexico, and U.S. trade agreement that replaced NAFTA. So it is something that people are going to be looking at. And frankly, we still have lost manufacturing jobs in my neck of the woods in northeastern Ohio. That has not changed. And we have over almost 12% unemployment right now where I live.
Now, obviously, another major talking point was the Affordable Care Act, which we had there. Kamala Harris coming out strongly and saying that the Trump administration is trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act at a time when the country is facing a pandemic. And we didn't get quite a more clearer response from Biden on that point. Let's talk about the Affordable Care Act and what the implications are for Americans, and what would they have been expecting from this particular debate in that regard.
The Affordable Care Act has come up time and time again. It came up in the chaos of the first presidential debate. It is a centerpiece of pretty much every federal election up and down the ballot, and has been for the last decade. And tonight is no different from that. And so what Kamala Harris tried to say tonight is the Trump-Pence administration is coming for the American people, because they have, and this is true, the Trump administration has challenged in court basically trying to dismantle the Affordable Care Act. And so there is a case that basically where Texas, the state of Texas, is the plaintiff, that is coming before the Supreme Court, currently scheduled for a few weeks after the election. And if the Supreme Court rules it a certain way, it would essentially eliminate the underpinnings of the Affordable Care Act. And what would that mean for Americans? It would certainly mean the loss of health care coverage, the potential loss of Medicaid coverage in a number of states for able-bodied working adults that are lower income. It would mean the elimination of coverage for pre-existing conditions, lifetime limits, caps, a whole host of things. And so this is something, particularly with the backdrop of the coronavirus pandemic, that I think the Democrats, who have traditionally had more gravitas on the issue of health care, are really trying to drive home, particularly since the Trump administration really has not presented their own plan for replacing the ACA or Obamacare, should it be repealed, with the exception of this executive order, which essentially only mirrored pieces of the ACA that are popular without any real teeth.
obviously that issue came into central focus, obviously, the lack of a plan from the Democrats in that regard. Before I let you go, Americans have started voting by mail, and we had President Trump a week or so ago in that debate warning of what he would call a rigged election. And now we saw his tweet earlier today encouraging Americans to go out and to vote and use those who are able to vote by mail. What do you make of his position in that regard?
Well, he has been pretty consistent, frankly, and this is what I'm going to take. He's been pretty consistent about his concerns and voiced concerns about the legitimacy of the election due to the fact that a number of states have moved to all mail-in voting because of the coronavirus pandemic and some of the safety concerns of voting in person. So he's been very clear that a ballot that is unsolicited rather than an absentee request, but an unsolicited ballot, which already has occurred in at least 5 states for the last, almost 20 years with no incidents. He has voiced his concern that this will create fraud. Many speculate that this is setting up a narrative for a potential challenge. And as President Trump has said explicitly, that he isn't ready to say whether or not he would accept the outcome of the election. So we can only wait and see. And that is just par for the course for 2020.
And that's the Capri Cafaro coming us live from Ohio. And obviously that election is only less than a month away. And there's lots to ponder and lots to talk about as we continue this coverage of the vice presidential debate.